Hello there and welcome to a pretty impromptu stream, but I couldn't think of a better way to spend a Sunday evening than with Daniel Stormless Hobden.
Hello.
And Liam Ipkai Fung.
Good evening, everyone.
And Dr. G is in the house. It's Sturm Tiger Gaddafi.
Hello, hello.
And we've given you the trailer, and now we're going to launch in with a whole slew of awesome GCS2 information because... I mean, we're getting damn close now, guys, right? It's 2 weeks, isn't it? That's not a rhetorical question. You meant to react.
Yes, it is 2 weeks.
Yes, it is 2 weeks. Hey!
I will be traveling down.
He surely can't be asking us.
Yeah, now we have to talk now, right? Okay.
Gaddafi is coming all the way from America. Liam's coming all the way from Wales, which is depraved. And Stormless is coming all the way from the middle of England to the north of England because in Manchester we've got the first and only live super-duper mega tournament in our community's existence. So, if you guys go over to GCS2.org right now, let's put a little exclamation mark and get Moobot to guide you. You can find that we've got a whole slew of updates for you. I mean, first and foremost, that you're greeted with this fruit of my labour. It's a poster, and it's got all those beautiful faces in it. Going from left to right, you've got Jessalyn, the War Machine, Helping Hands, the Comeback King, Von Ivan, Captain of Chaos, etc., all the way to, I mean, you've got to point out Talisman, the Wall, and Refero. And we're going to be going through the brackets that comprise these 8 warriors for you today, and talking about the matchups in the first round of GCS2, because that's how close we're getting. We're at the point now where not only is the end in sight, but the start of all hell is about to begin, and we know the players that are going to be up against one another. Of note, the prize pool is now set in stone. The event is costing a lot of money, but there's not a single penny of profit being made by the organisers. It's all of just a community effort to create the best tournament possible. And this is what we've got. We've got an epic trophy, which you can see in person just to my left. Dan, it looks like we're sharing the same room and it's between us, but obviously we're not. And it's looking damn good. But you know, the meat of it, and why we're all here, is to talk about the brackets. So, Ipkai, you're a tournament organising legend, and I can't think of a better person than to talk us through these brackets from top to bottom than yourself.
Okay, so we start off with, well, first of all, it's a double elimination bracket, which is quite interesting. The best way to sell it is that the format is called You Only Live Twice. So if you lose, still got a game. Could still win it.
Very good. And the quarterfinals, just to give us a quick overview. I mean, Dan, who's in the first few quarterfinals there?
Well, if you didn't know already, we have Devon, Jessalyn, Vaughn, Osten, Talisman, Love Nest, the winner of last year's GCS, Refero, Von Ivan, and of course, just slipping in there at the end, Helping Hands. A really, just if I'm allowed to say it right now, a really good lineup. In fact, over the kind of 4 or 5 years, the last 4 or 5 years of Company Heroes 2, just all prominent players that have played very well and appeared a lot. And it, do you know what I mean? Like, it's the best collection, really, of players you could have.
It's crazy. I like that they're all like solid dudes as well. They're just, you know, really nice guys. They're competitors, and the style. And we didn't engineer it that way. Obviously, it's just how it's happened. And I'm just really proud of them as players. I think we've got a great collection of people. And right now, I firmly believe that these are 8 of the best players ever to play this game. You know, even Seed 8, Jessalyn, is formerly the greatest player on the planet as of like 2014-15 kind of era. Gaddafi, just to quickly go over to the milestones. Not the milestone, sorry, the Hall of Fame, my bad. You, sir, are the largest benefactor to this tournament. You know,
Indeed I am.
Speaking for like yourself and Dr. Wox, do you think this is good value for money with the lineup that's been assembled?
I think it's the great value for the money. I mean, we got 8 warriors coming in to kill each other, and I mean literally. So it's gonna be great. I mean, in game, of course, not literally.
Rip Devon.
They're good. they're gonna scratch, they're gonna scream, but you know what? They're gonna give us a good entertainment at the end of the day, and it's gonna be great, guys.
That's exactly right, because they're all of different statures. We've got Devon, who's #1 seed, a fearsome competitor, and Loveness standing next to him. I always like the dichotomy between that. I think Dan just alluded to it. But let's get into the meat of today's discussion, guys. Let's talk a little bit about what we actually think is going to happen, what we think these players are capable of. And in order to arm us before we get into predictions, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to a new page on GCS2.org, which is all the numbers given to me by Cyphernex have been put into tables and etc. So Cyphernex, big thank you to you. I know you're not listening, but yeah. He doesn't listen, he just does the stats. He loves it. And so I'm going to have to message him to say these thanks. So yeah, anyway. So if we go over to this now, guys, if you look at the win-loss analysis for the GCS2 finalists, this table is basically, they've played each other during qualifying in the heat of battle in these big brackets, right? These big 32-man tournaments. Does anything jump out to you? Any points of note to any of you, having seen this information?
I think that although Devon has got a 100% win rate, because he was the first to qualify, I think he may have trouble, because I don't know how much he's been practicing.
You see, that's interesting, Ipkai. I put that down as Devon's #1 advantage point for this tournament. Was actually nobody has seen him play for so long, but he's been able to watch everybody else play. And when it comes to the day, I'm actually a bit worried. If you look at his factions, which I know comes later on in this document, Devon didn't even play what's regarded as his #1 faction. I'm very worried about what could come from Devon if I'm honest with you.
That's interesting.
I mean,
so
that is true, yeah. I mean,
obviously he was lauded for his USF play in OCF, and Liam, you saw that firsthand, having been one of the head referees for that tournament. Do you think he's possibly got a card up his sleeve with that regard?
Maybe, but I don't think USF are as potent as they were back then. Okay. I don't think they're much snuff at the moment, to be honest. I don't think the UKF or the USF are much snuff right now, the game.
Interesting. Sturm Tiger Gaddafi. I mean, let's bring you in on this. Devon, the player, the man, the myth, the legend, etc. I know you're a Von Ivan fanboy, but do you think he is a true #1 seed? He's somebody to be feared. He's like, he's top of the pile at the moment. Do you see him that way?
Well, unfortunately, I have to disagree with these fine gentlemen that are jumping on the Devon bandwagon. But here's why: Devon had only played 5 games, right? I don't think that's enough to show us anything. Statistics, as you put it that way, are like bikinis. They show you everything, but you can't see nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell you. I don't think Devon is going to go far. I think Von Ivan is going to do his thing and just knock him out early on, and off we go.
So, just to correct you there, sorry, Devon played 11 games and won all 11 of them. In fact, he played against Von Ivan in the semi-final. His games were Refuro, Talisman, Von Ivan in that first tournament. He obviously had a first couple of rounds as well against lower seed opposition,
But take a look at the number of matches he played against top competitors that are in the finals, right? He only played 5 matches as opposed to everybody else playing more than 10, right? So it's not black and white as you tried to put it, but okay.
So, I would still say, I wouldn't say I'm jumping on the Devon bandwagon. I personally just think there is a point there of with the tournament, a lot of these players have had a chance to play against each other week on week. You know someone's play style and everything, whereas Devon is such a wild card with so long. He could have changed up anything or been proficient in a faction that we're not expecting, and nobody would know the answer to that question. That's kind of his advantage, I think. It's a mystery. I don't think you could say 100% either or. He's going to be like at a disadvantage or an advantage, but I think there's something there.
There's an unknown quantity, and I suppose what fills that unknown quantity is how much the guy's been practicing, how much he wants it. And I think it's not incorrect to say that the beating from Loveness that Loveness gave him last year in the GCS1 final, that 4-0 drubbing, quite frankly, certainly seems to have given him a fire up his ass this year, because he hit the ground running seemingly. Now, we're actually going to go down the seeds now. We're going to go, obviously, in a traditional tournament, Seed 1 faces Seed 8. And double elimination is no same for the first round. No different for the first round, rather. And that brings us to Jessalyn. And somebody that has obviously got a lot of experience, Jessalyn, very active in the start of our community for Company Heroes 2, is Ipkai Fung. How do you assess the Spaniard now we're in 2018?
I don't think he'll do too well in the tournament, to be honest. I think he maybe hasn't caught up with how much the game has changed since the early days. Or I think the other players have maybe got better than he has. I think he'll probably go 0-2 on the weekend.
Oh, ouch. And to exemplify your point there, I mean, the commanders used, nobody's used more commanders than Jessalyn and GCS2. He was literally trying to figure out how to play in Company Heroes 2 in 2018. I mean, he used Breakthrough Doctrine, Jaeger Infantry, Tank Hunter before Love Nest showed how powerful it was, I believe, possibly. Airborne Company. He used everything he could think of. Mechanized Assault Doctrine for Wehrmacht, etc. This does not seem like a man that's gotten back to his previous, illustrious form quite yet.
I mean, he's still, if you look at he still uses mobile defense, which is probably the most popular one for Wehrmacht. Guard Motor and Guard Rifle are probably the two most popular Soviet ones as well. And Special Ops is the most popular OKW commander as well because of that Panther you get. And USF aren't really good at the moment, so you could use whatever you want. The thing is, it's just that I think that I don't think that maybe he hasn't failed to keep up. I think the other guys have just overtaken him, and he
didn't play last year, 2017. He only played in GCS1, and he did it as a favour to me. I realised that not enough top players were in the scene at that point in time. It's pretty much dead game at that point. And Jessalyn literally played as a favour, and he got, unfortunately, destroyed by Aimstrong. But this year he has trained, and that's exemplified by the fact that he's actually qualified. And I want to bring Dan in on something now. So before we go and do our predictions on the first matchup, which is Devon versus Jessalyn, Dan, you were at a tournament called the Warpaint Championships, I believe.
Yeah, Warpaint Championships were 3 years ago. That was Devon Jessalyn in the finals of that. And again, that was because Nagano actually could make it, which is why Jessalyn, I believe, stepped in. Was either Jessalyn stepped in or Devon stepped in. But yeah, I mean, do you know what? Back then, that was a relatively strong show from Devon. Even then, Jessalyn seems to have a very I would call it, he plays the common play style very well. I feel like he plays Company of Heroes like as the tools would tell you to play it, and then he plays it very well. And I think at the very least, it's nice to have him back because he quit last year. Said he was going to completely retire. So for him to come back and get into the top 8, I think is just awesome. He's clearly still an incredible player, and he's got something about him. But in the tournament, I don't know how he's going to do. I don't know if he's strong enough to be top 4.
I do remember a time he used to win every single tournament I ever made, to the point where I didn't want to organise tournaments anymore. And that's a true story. I think Ipkai and I, in 2014, we actually cast him just literally destroying everybody. So we know he's been there. We know he's done it. But anyway, let's have your predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Stormless, Devon Jessalyn. It's a best of 3, first round. Who's going to win? And what's the score?
For me, this is a horrible thing to do because I'm friends with all these people in this list.
Yes.
And I have to say this before I say this. I'm really looking forward to seeing Jessalyn again. And every time we've met, it's been awesome. But it would be, unfortunately, 2-0 to Devon in my prediction.
Daddy G, any different?
You know what? You know that I have no problem with lighting people up. So I will have to go with the Devon, unfortunately, 2-0 for all of the reasons that other fine experts have mentioned here. So I think Devon is just going to dominate, and it's going to be 2-0.
Okay. Ipkai?
Yep, 2-0 as well, I thought.
Oof, poor Jezza. And
Can I change mine to 1-0? Just
Hang on, we've just had a refereeing decision. It seems like Jessalyn was on the loo when that second game, so they've had to replay, and Jessalyn gets it. Devon should not have started that game, and he has been given a forfeit victory there. So 2-1. Jesus Christ, almost. Compassionate reasons. Compassionate reasons. So just let's go over now, all of us, to the brackets, and just get us heads in this mindset of the double elimination scenario. And let's have a little look at what that actually means in terms of where Jessalyn would go from there, if this is how predicted. If the seed 8 Jessalyn loses, he would go down here. Loser of quarterfinal 1 versus loser of quarterfinal 2. So he'd be up against either Vaughn Osten or Talisman. So he would have a second chance, a second pop at the cherry, and anything would be possible. Let's get over back to the analysis of the players that are in our second game today. So this will be... Let me double check how the brackets work. It's Vaughn Osten versus Talisman. So we're doing it in a funny order, but we're following this brackets down. So exclamation mark brackets if you want to see how we're doing this. So guys, let's have a little look about Vaughn Osten. And first and foremost, what are your general overall opinions on the player that is Vaughn Osten in this current point in time? First one to talk gets to talk.
All right, I'm going to start first because I let him talk before. I think Vaughn Osten is the most progressive player ever to hit the scene. I think the amount of improvement he has shown over the period of, let's say, 2 years is astonishing, aside from Kimbo and the likes. But I think Vaughn Osten is out for revenge because he indeed lost the series in the qualifiers to Talisman, if I'm not mistaken. It was maybe round 2 or something. Oh, I mean, sorry, qualifier 2. And I think he's out for revenge, and I think he's going to get that revenge. So if you ask me to do the score right now...
No, don't jump the gun. I'm not asking you that yet. Because okay. I'm getting opinions, so I'm glad you... he's just got ready to go. He's a loaded gun.
Yep.
Stormless, Vaughn Osten... I know that at the start of this year, and possibly a little bit of King of the Hill last year and such, he was a bit of an unknown quantity. He's slowly become more of a known commodity to us. And what do you make of him?
Yeah, everything Gaddafi said was right. He went from kind of being really great at 2v2 to suddenly, like, top 50 equivalent in 1v1. And then, maybe the last year, he's now easily, like, top 10 and can stand toe-to-toe with a lot of the top players. But he has his weaknesses still. And whilst I think he's a fantastic player, he doesn't have a lot of the tournament experience yet. And we saw that in his qualifier, the match lasting against Nagano, which was nearly quit out of. Do you know what I mean? So, like you say, one of the best progressive players and one of the best players we have in the scene. But the tournament scene is going to be the test, I think.
Ipkai, let's bring you in on this. Have you had much chance to really get to grips with Vaughn Osten?
Well, I remember him as a 2v2 player when he was in RTN. Remember the name? It was a long time ago. And I remember him being really dominant in the 2v2 factor. And then he made this transition over, as everyone has said, to the 1v1. He's a very methodical player, I find. He's got his builds down and his threats down. Doesn't seem to be too, I won't say not creative, I will say won't deviate from popular strats at the moment. I would say, but he executes them well. And that's quite good to do, in this game.
That's an excellent assessment in all honesty. And the reason I say that's excellent is because I actually struggled to think of a nickname for Vaughn Osten, because he just is a good player. You've got Talisman, who is the wall. You've got the Portuguese prodigy, Devon, the captain of Chaos, Von Ivan, and Vaughn Osten is really good. I said to him, "What is the defining characteristic of your game?" Because I'm trying to think of a nickname for you. He said, "Well, I'm really good at infantry engagements." And I said, "Yeah, you are, master tactician." So that's what he's got. But one of the things that defines him for me is, unfortunately, great player, nice guy, but at the top level in finals, he seems to have choked a little bit at times. Would you guys say that's a fair assessment?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so. But that's probably because he hasn't had as much tournament experience as the others.
Yeah, well, I would question what you consider tournament experience versus live tournament experience, right? We'll see how he does live.
Exactly.
You're right. That's another step
Yeah.
up, to be honest, because there is a difference, and like anybody who stepped into a tournament will feel it. It's very strange, even like back in the ESL days, we were getting like minimal points for absolutely nothing gained whatsoever.
You know about how much Relic paid us for that now? Is that what you just meant? Sorry. No, yeah, sorry.
You got paid?
No.
Wait, what?
Did you? I thought that's what you meant. Sorry.
Share of this?
I got a.
Right,
no,
we got conspiracy in our hands, boys. We need to investigate this.
But seriously, whenever you step into like a tournament game, there is like an energy inside of you that's slightly different and needs controlling, and it's a mix between excitement and nerves, and that, as you say, is just kind of online, and the pressure from that. Actually sitting there, knowing that you're going to be intensely watched, and that there's going to be people around you live and hearing that, like, it will be a soundproof studio, but it might be that you're able to hear little bits of screams and shouts.
Sounds like my basement at the moment, I must say.
I mean, you're also not at your PC as well. You might be able to use your same peripherals that you would use. It's not your same PC, not your same desk. You're not in the same area where you play your games. And as well as that, you got studio lights as well, and you've got people looking at you, actually making eye contact as well. And that can really just, put the cosh on you as well.
Do you know what I get, Kai, which I think is great advice for any players, by the way? That the height that the chair can go is a big thing for me. If I sit somewhere and the desk to chair height isn't right, that's it. It's a game over.
No, I agree.
Yeah, you have to be to look at the DSE manual, the digital screen thing. I can't remember what it stands for, but basically you have to have the chair at the right keying height so it's comfortable. Yeah, the monitors at eye level.
Enough about office ergonomics. We're treating this live viewership to too much excitement now. Put away the manual, Ipkai. Put away the manual for one moment, because we must move on. We must very quickly move on because we're struggling. We've overspent on Von Asten right now because we do have another player that he is playing against, of course, and that man is the Wall, the Finnish Wall, Talisman. Anybody want to go?
He looks really hench on the photo, doesn't he?
He looks he's a unit, an absolute unit. Hence the nickname.
I think the thing I want to comment on is, so you have all the stats there. His average game length.
Oh, I haven't looked at that actually. That's going to be hilarious.
He has the longest average game length at 34 minutes 29. Hans is sort of close at 33:24, but we'll get to him later on.
That is long, considering Von Asten's 24 minutes. We've got Von Ivan 22. You got Loveness 27 and Devon 22. Wow, Talisman, Jesus Christ! And a lot of us have seen those games. Dan, we've cast a few of those games. So he goes long, doesn't he?
He does. It's hard to. I think he struggled though. I think that's actually why the games were so long. I remember some games. Was it him that played versus Love Nest and it lasted like an hour or something? I think there are some games that will be pulling that statistic up, just where he really, really struggled. But if that is the case, I mean, it was a real testament to how much effort he put, like continual effort in those games. He did not give up, no matter how much was thrown at him.
Daddy G, I mean, there's something about Talisman's gameplay style that creates these long games, isn't there? I mean, it's something different that he's doing.
Well, let me just first say that thank you for spending additional amounts of money for security, because obviously, based on looking at the picture at the Talisman, I think we're going to need it, I would definitely be scared to play against that dude. Anyways, yeah, I mean, Talisman is a solid player. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He's there with the plan, and I think he's going to execute. That's all.
So Ipkai was the guy that, basically, because I'm not offering opinions today, I'm just cycling through you until one of you says the thing I want you to say. Sorry. Ipkai, is Talisman the kind of like symbiosis from Co 1 kind of player?
Very much. So it's the Co 2 version. I would say so. Just sort of like has these huge armies. Like, how the hell do you get rid of them? They're massive. So much infantry. And it's just
all about manpower preservation. He doesn't lose a single model. If he will retreat before he loses a single model, and it just creates these ridiculous games. So let's get straight into the predictions, guys, before we meander any longer. We're going to start right to left. Ipkai Fung, Talisman Von Asten, call it.
I think it will be 2-1 to Talisman.
Ooh, okay. I tell you what, Vaughn, that's going to be a long series. We're going to have to account for that. Daddy G?
I have to give Talisman 1 and one Osten 2, and I'm giving Talisman 1 because I'm genuinely scared of him.
Fair enough. And the Stormmeister General?
Mine is also, I think this will be one of the close series, and I do think actually it'll be Von Asten that gets it.
Wow, there you go. And that, of course, would mean that Jessalyn versus Talisman would become a reality in the lower bracket, not loser bracket. We're not being...
I like that I didn't give you the figures, but you knew what I was scoring.
You said that, didn't you? Did you? Sorry, did you want to do over Talisman?
No.
Are you going to say that to his face when he's there in September?
I deliberately
he is the
didn't say
wall.
anything so as not to upset Talisman, but you have, and and you can deal with that.
I mean, the thing is with the photos, he might have taken it with the camera like low down. You know, you really need to have like they have the lineouts in the police departments, you know, with the heights.
My poster is height accurate, actually. So not only did I spend a crap ton of time, you will get one of these, by the way. I spent a crap ton of time doing this poster, too much time, in fact. Probably should have been doing actual organising. But anyway, that is actually height accurate. That is the height of the players. I checked, I measured them, and they all have a head size similar to Loveness head. He was my template doing the poster.
Yeah, but I mean, Hans is like about quite as tall as Loveness, isn't he?
Nearly. Loveness is about 1.5 inches taller.
And Jessalyn's as tall as Hans. I didn't know that.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Well,
go on the website. He's a good 2 inches shorter. Oh. What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? Is your head tilted?
No, I mean Hans is what, 6'5" or something, or 6'6"?
No, he's not. He's like 6'2", 6'3", and Loveness is 6'4.5", I believe. Anyway, this isn't WWE wrestling. We're not here to. And Loveness, 7'2", 500 pounds. So yeah, but it is meant to be vaguely height accurate. I've now put vaguely in, and yeah, so we've seeded that. Sorry, we've scored that. Gone.
Can I just say that how refreshing it is to have like nation wars? Can you see?
Yes.
We have
all the flags.
One representative from a country, and
yeah, like Olympic Games.
It is.
Except for the US, it's the Special Olympics because they've only got one competitor.
Yeah, and he's turned sideways unlike everybody else, right? What is he trying to do there?
That was the only photo with good lighting. The rest of the photos, it was like dark because his visor covered his head and the lamp was directly above him. So it was just like dark face and it was crazy.
So hold on, when we start attempting to guess the height of the players, are we counting in the hat that one Ivan's wearing or not?
No, because a hat is not actually part of your head. It's like a thing you put on your head. Do you like Canada and the USA? Like Canada's a hat. Canada isn't actually part of the US.
Viking. Never mind.
I really like that everyone's got some kind of like pose on that represents them. Apart from Refro at the end, he's just like, "I'm happy to be here."
Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. Yeah. Just happy to hear. Thanks for the vote, guys. Where's the buffet?
Did someone say free beer?
You know, you should have one of the hats.
Won't refer GCS3
on the side.
What was that, Kai? Sorry.
I was saying you should have one of those hats. You know, you can put the cans on the side with the straws.
That would be good. That would be the dream. So that's that matchup. Let's go back over to the brackets. Hopefully one of these links is right. Yes, there we go. The next match includes Refero, and it is, of course, Love Nest versus Refero. Dan, I know we've got PTSD over the audio issues from last year, so we don't like to remember GCS1, even though the actual tournament itself was awesome. I was looking back on it today, and to be fair, it was mega. Just all the audio
like
issues
PTSD,
in the final.
But you don't hear anything, so...
Yeah, well, I can't remember the final very much. I have to really think.
I remember.
If Kai was there, how well did Loveness do that day?
He did very well.
Oh, did he? That's good. And you remember that day? You know he can perform at a live event, right? We all saw it. It was technically like 4.5-0 because he won one game halfway through. Then DevM's computer crashed. Then he won it again. And yeah, that guy just did not get phased, did he?
Well, yeah, he kept his composure quite well. I mean, he did go out the back to get a walk and some fresh air, and I'm using the commas a lot as well to help calm his nerves. But yeah, no, he took it home that year. It was quite one-sided.
It was. Daddy G, were you watching that year? That fateful 1st of July 2017?
Of course I was. What do you think? Absolutely, I was watching. Anyways, Lovenest is a machine, but on the flip side, he's a completely different Lovenest this year because he hasn't played that much, right? So I wouldn't say that he's going to have any trouble getting far. I'm just saying he's going to have a hard time getting far.
Okay, so let's have a little look at his win-to-loss ratio. I think this is quite good. So against top 8 opposition, he lost to Von Ivan, he lost to Von Asten, he lost to Talisman. But he did beat Refuro and Jessalyn cleanly in that tournament. He suddenly decided to start playing properly, or he'd been training. I don't know what it was. I do have my suspicions he was underperforming deliberately to get more time in the tournament system. Nobody could ever prove me right. He'd never admit it, but
possibly.
I would do that, wouldn't you guys?
Possibly,
I mean,
yeah.
Von Ivan did it. I mean,
did he?
Well, I have my suspicions.
That's what you have to say. Yeah, it's just suspicions because nobody would ever say that, right? But if you're thinking about it, you're a player, there's 4 qualifying tournaments, you probably don't want to win straight away. So Lovenest actually played with Brits, he played with Overwatch Doctrine before Von Ivan made it actually a good doctrine, showed us all how it's played. So a lot of these statistics for him in particular are a little bit skewed by those first 2 tournaments, but in general, he did well, he's qualified, and he's now up against Refuro. What do we actually know about Refuro as a player, and does anybody have any interesting insights on him?
Well, he does chat a lot in the stream chats, and he does have these very zen nuggets of information that he tries to self-better himself and improve himself. So I see he's very reflective.
Reflective Refuro?
Yeah.
We could call him Reflecto, couldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, he does appear to have these periods of introspection.
Introspecto.
Introspecto Refuro.
Dan, he did well in King of the Hill. We named him Jarl Refuro for a time.
Yeah.
So what's the deal with the Jarl nickname? What is going on there? I'm not familiar with any of that stuff.
King in Norse countries.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, like Saw or Daddy G in America. It's
right. Yeah.
He played a lot of doctrines. I'll tell you a tidbit of information about him. Although he plays Wehrmacht a lot, I mean, he had a positive win-loss as Wehrmacht. He certainly did better as Soviets, and he won 3-0 as Brits. I mean, the guy was number 1 on the ladder as Brits for most of this year. He never plays with HMGs as Wehrmacht. It's a really interesting strategy. He just doesn't like to use MGs. And the reason why I had an interview with him, he only started playing this game in around 2015. And that's the series, not just this game.
Yeah, there was a good Co-1 player back in the day called Sefer, and he also did not like playing with MGs. He said because he found he would get flanked and it would be game over for him. So he did the Revolk Sniper. I think that was his build. With the Co-1 version of Weir. So there are people that don't like playing.
Let's hit in. And the guy we have not started with yet on these predictions is Daddy G. So Lovenest Refuro, score it, round 1.
I think it's going to be 2-0 Lovenest.
Yeah. And Stormless?
Yeah, I'm going to say the same, and I would just like to point out, because I didn't say anything specifically about Lovenest, but Lovenest is the only player that used 5 factions across the entire tournament successfully. And the reason why I think he's going to be great is because if you can play all factions in a tournament setting well, you're going to know how to deal with a lot from the enemy side. So he's, I think he's dangerous there.
There we go. Is that 2-0?
Yes. Sorry, Refero.
Ipkai?
Lovely guy, but I think Lovenest is going to go 2-0 as well in this one.
And that would actually make him 3-0 in matches in GCS2 against the Refero. But if there's anybody, and I'll just add this, if there's anybody that knows what they didn't have, what it takes, and knows what they need to do to get what it takes, it's Refero, because he's lost twice. So surely he can analyse those losses and make good. And he's had a month, 6 weeks to prepare. Possibly more, because I think Lovenest qualified in Tournament 3. So I think Refero could be a surprise package. But we're not asking me. I'm meant to be the host. Let's get over to a very, very spicy matchup indeed. It's the last remaining matchup, and it's going to be ridiculously interesting. Obviously, these guys have a storied past. they're friends. They were originally enemies when Von Ivan used to stream snipe Helping Hands a lot. Then they became friends in real life. And then they've become rivals in a tournament setting because last year they had a live stream off before Helping Hands had a migraine. And then because of Von Ivan's great sportsmanship, it was decided by this guy's in chat, Ishtari. He set up a fundraiser, and GCS plugged in, a lot of people plugged in, to get Von Ivan over to the UK so he could have a live showdown in a third place playoff. Unfortunately, the internet was being eaten up by ESL staff members. Don't ask. And that first game didn't go Helping Hands his way. And then Von Ivan in the second game, he just had the mentality, and he pretty much, to be honest, he dominated Helping Hands that day. That's the backstory. I'm now going to ask Stormless, this matchup, Von Ivan Helping Hands, how do you see it going?
I think that it's one of the tougher ones. I would like to say that Von Ivan would go through with no problems, just because Von Ivan has the most amount of games played overall. You know, throughout this event, he's had plenty of practice against tournament players. Von Ivan's very creative, whereas I think Hans is less creative. You know, is a bit more predictable maybe. But Hans, when he did come back in, I mean, he barely played, to be honest, and still managed to get into the top 8. Has to be something to, said for that, and hopefully he's practicing and taking it seriously since qualifying. So both of them at their best, probably I really couldn't say.
Could you say Ipkai? Talk about Helping Hands if you can.
Right,
what do you think about Helping Hands?
I think that he will get frustrated in this match. I think Von Ivan's creativity will be just a bit too much for him to handle. And he's a very emotional player. Hans, that is a very emotional player. I think he wears his heart on his face, and you can immediately tell that he's going to get very flustered. This matchup, it's going to be Cabasa Def.
Ooh, Daddy G, is there anything that Von Ivan might be doing in this matchup that will get him frustrated?
If he hits one of those two Goliaths out of nowhere, I think that's a GG for Hans. I think first minutes of that match will determine the actual victor of the series. And I think whoever gets the first wipe or scores a major victory within a single game is bound to win the series as well. I mean, those were some good points that these guys mentioned. And I think that it's going to be an interesting match. And I think it's going to be close to what we already saw in the fourth qualifier.
Okay, so let's get your predictions then, and we'll start off in the order you've already spoken. So Stormless, Von Ivan, Helping Hands.
Gosh, I will say 2-1 to Von Ivan.
Oh, okay then. Okay, 2-1, and I believe Ipkai spoke next.
I think this is going to be 2-1 as well to Von Ivan, and I think it's probably going to be longer than Talisman versus Von Osten.
Ooh, that sounds like an epic. Sounds like we'll be up to 1 o'clock in the morning on the Saturday. And the awesome man that is Daddy G.
I'm going to repeat everything I said in the previous podcast because I still believe in what I said. Unfortunately, Helping Hands proved us wrong back then, but you know what? I stand by what I said. I think Von Ivan is going to go through, and just for the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to give Hans a single victory, and it's going to be 2-1 for Von Ivan.
Wow, there we go. I mean, Helping Hands will be really trying. I'm probably playing Theme Hospital at the moment or something, but on the day, he'll be really trying to prove you all wrong. I am sure of that.
Yep.
And I believe we were proven wrong last time we had a podcast like this. Yep. We said Helping Hands wouldn't even get to the semis. And Dan and I owe Dan £10 still. Damn it! What? No,
I've forgotten about that.
Oh, damn it! Why have we? I would have got
what?
away with it as well if it wasn't for you pesky kids.
Not only did you bet me that Hans wouldn't make it in, you also laughed at me and said I was careless with my money. So I'm really going to enjoy taking that £10 from your fingertips.
I think the thing that we're underplaying a bit though as well is that although those players may lose, they are still in it.
Yes, they are. And I think we should before we get on to we'll do the first round. We'll also do the first round of the. Is that brutal? If we do the first round of the wild cards, and it's all predictions. I mean, they know it's just predictions, so we'll do that as well. But before that, let's just have a little bit of. So of course, everybody will get a poster at GCS2. They'll get. This is the attendees. The raffle winners will also get the same poster and a T-shirt, and the players will all get the same. Get this handsome trophy. Dan is thinking, "Damn, I wish I was streaming because I could play the shill music at this point." And there's another thing as well that one of the players will win, and Sturm Tiger Gaddafi. I want you to talk a little bit. Let me get on the results page that shows it a little bit about the side competition you're running, the Coco Jambo non-meta award.
Well, we already briefly discussed this back in when we were presenting the winners. So essentially, it's a testicular fortitude competition, right? Let's see what you are made out of. Let's see how well you can play under different circumstances that are not considered meta. And let's see if you can put some entertainment for us folks, right? That are watching and that are fans of the game, right? So $100 award is going to go to the player with hardest testicular fortitude.
Hardest testicles?
Hardest testicles.
Are you going to measure them? Is this you got weights with you or something? Or is it in the game? Is it physical or is it metaphorical in the game? I'm really struggling now.
We need to determine that, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
And how it's going to get measured, because they're
going to stand at the front and play conkers and.
Oh no! Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Oh dear.
This is regressing faster than my hairline. Let's talk a little bit about this trophy, not this one here. This one here. So it's huge, by the way. I'm really gonna have to struggle to lift this up. Hang on a moment.
Huge.
That's what she said exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ! It's a big one. Look at this for a huge trophy. This is the Coco Jambo Award. For some reason, the trophy shop has put 2018 on it. I'm not too sure about that. Coco Jambo Award 2018. Let me move my finger.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that beautiful thing.
It is wonderful.
You must have thought you were bonkers when you asked him to present.
No, he thought I was nuts.
And what are you talking about?
There you go. Sorry to disappoint you, but it is only like 4 inches tall or something. But it is the. Let's put it next to its rightful place next to the trophy.
Yeah, put it right there.
There you go. So that's the difference between a £160 trophy and something that didn't cost quite that much. We do also have
like you know that picture of Loveness standing next to Devon.
Oh God. So yeah, God, that's a very cruel thing to say, Dan. Because I'm just trying to see the likeness you're getting it there, but no, I'm not seeing it. How dare you say something about the destroyer that is Devon? He's a beautiful man. I love that guy.
Yeah, you know what? If Dan is comparing Coco Jumbo concept to Devon in like whole concept of company heroes, I'm happy about that comparison. You know.
That's nice.
Thank you,
That's
Danny.
a good thought. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so this obviously completes the prize pool, which is a handsome prize pool. So the first place for this tournament is pretty much equivalent of last year's first place, considering there were only 2 people in the final last year. We've got 8 people this year. They're all getting flown into Manchester, and we've got a huge trophy. It's a huge prize pool, and the winner will get a GTX 1080, which is 1080. Sorry, soon to be the second best graphics card in the world. Thank you, NVIDIA, for your timely launching of the new graphics card. That's wonderful. Thank you, Stormless, for getting that through your mic. That's that degree in audio engineering coming into great use there.
You knew I could do it.
That's
I'll always
fantastic.
find a way.
So it's like,
You thought you were safe by hosting.
he's a manager of an accommodation company, but he still manages to make his degree work in his spare time. It's Stormless. There you go. He patched it in. That was a nice little segue into the last part of today's predictions game, which we will keep these predictions. It will be on the seeding spreadsheet for those GCS2 nerds that have been watching the tournament avidly, all 10 of you. Let's just have a little look at the next game. So I'm very going to quickly somebody say something different for a moment and talk about something else whilst I write these in. That would be very helpful.
So yes, the finals will be in Manchester, lovely city, Britain's 4th city. Would you say?
3rd? Surely it's better than.
3rd city.
Is it not better than Birmingham? I know Birmingham's bigger, but
Birmingham is
Birmingham's
the 2nd
crap hole.
city. Birmingham is the second.
Are you saying Cardiff was the third? Please don't be saying
No,
that.
I'm not. I'm not going to say that. Because of population size.
Yeah, but it's the second best by far. It's got so much going for it, hasn't it? You know?
I don't. I've never actually been there recently. Last time I went was when I was about 5, Chinatown, and I can't remember it that well.
Very good, very good. Is it? I think I've written these in wrong because obviously I'm stressing myself very. Well, we'll just look at the brackets, won't we? That'll help us. So of course we've predicted that all the lower seeds will win because we're incredibly boring, and A's seeding has been proven to be Asperger's and incredibly accurate. We've got Jessalyn versus Talisman. No, is that right? Did we say he'd lose that match? Or we say Vaughn Osten would lose?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was
Talisman. Yeah, Talisman won the. It was lost. Going by the predictions.
There we go. And that would leave us with, of course, Refero and Helping Hands. That's how we would do that. So let me just get this to work. Hang on a second. Freeze. There we go. So, guys, let's just have your predictions very quick. We won't do a super depth analysis. We're in the loser bracket now, as it's sometimes called, or as I'd rather call it for euphemistic reasons, the lower bracket. And this is a last chance saloon. They're playing in a different room now, simultaneously to the upper games. They're not being cast live. The emphasis is off. The attendees, by the way, will be able to see the games. We're going to get like a second monitor watching them, and there'll be a referee in the room with them taking avid notes. Later on in the tournament, the lower bracket games will be cast live when there's not quite as much going on. Just these first 2 rounds will be a little bit of a last chance saloon. Will they resurface in the tournament proper? Just to give you some context there on how we're actually going to make this work, because obviously you would think there's too many matches now, but no, we'll make it work. We've got 5 great computers supplied by a great IT company in the UK and paid for by Sega. Enough background information. I want your predictions, please, and I'm going to start with Sturm Tiger Gaddafi for Jessalyn Talisman.
Oh, this is a tough one. I'd have to go with Talisman because I just don't think Jessalyn is on his level.
Poor Jessalyn.
Yeah, unfortunately, like as you mentioned, he was one of the best tournament players back in the day, but unfortunately he hasn't played in a while, and I think he lacks that consistency that Talisman has, and I just have to spell doom for Jessalyn in this particular scenario. Sorry, Jesus.
I'm not going to go through you all. I just want to talk about what could happen in this match. Let's pretend we've got Refero Helping Hands, Stormless, Ipkai. We're in Last Chance Saloon now. We've got Refero, who's got nothing to lose, and Helping Hands, that's got a big reputation at stake. What could happen in that lower bracket playoff?
I think Refero probably does have a chance against Hands. Just thinking about the way that they both play, you know, it's I don't find Hands aggressive enough. I always think that's one thing with Hands that you know I think Refero would be able to handle a lot of what Hands threw at him. It give him good opportunities to fight back. So I still think Hands probably might win it, but I think Refero would probably have one of his best chances there.
And Ipkai, I've got a question for you in a second, but firstly, I would just like to mention that, of course, Refero knows Brits better than anybody, and Helping Hands is the best tournament player as Brits, so maybe Refero would have an edge there. Ipkai, you're a big fan of fighting games that you love to use the double elimination tournament, and you've followed a lot of these these tournaments with that format. Do you ever see crazy underdog stories where somebody drops down to the lower bracket early and pops up and wins the whole thing?
I wouldn't say they're underdogs. You would see someone like perhaps Devon lose in the first round and then power all the way through to the end. You can see that would happen. Sometimes that's the storyline. I mean, what I could say is that with Hans, for example, I think he loses in this scenario. He loses the match with Vaughn. That gives him a big kick up the backside, and then he says, "Right, I've still got one more chance. I'm gonna fucking motor it." Okay, sorry for the swearing, but he's gonna go absolutely bananas. All right, and plays his arse off.
My sponsors, you idiot! All the money we were going to make, you've ruined it! You've ruined it! We were finally going to get paid by DreamHack to run GCS3, and Ipkai's just blown it all away. I can't believe it. I'm not
officially a sponsor, affiliated. I just gave you money.
Oh, you didn't give me money. It's a community event, no profit made, just to make sure that joke doesn't go wrong with anybody that doesn't have a sense of humour. I was scrambling there to get the OCF brackets up because I know they exist somewhere. And of course, the everybody knows what happened there, I guess. And for those that don't know, Devon lost in the first round and then came up against his buddy Armstrong in the grand final. The way they did it back then was they, instead of having a possible second part of the grand final should the winner bracket guy lose, they didn't have that, and Devon beat Armstrong 3-2 in a great match and won the whole thing. So underdog stories do happen is the moral of the story. And the lower bracket situation gets really interesting, so that's why I will be releasing a brackets poster. If anybody of you wants to download the PDF and get it printed off, you'll be able to play at home, and we'll be able to see that.
We should do that. We should get everybody to upload a, do you know what I mean? To upload a prediction, like a full prediction brackets, and get like some prize for someone that gets it right.
Really good.
I will give the best prediction a Mars bar.
Wow.
I'm reaching in deep there.
Oh,
I think we should actually do that. I think we should come up with a serious prize for that and get
2 Mars bars.
Well, I maxed out on organizational effort. So if anybody in chat wants to host and run a predictions competition, now is your time to show off your spreadsheet prowess and your organizational capabilities, and we'll possibly groom you to be Ipkai Fung, then AE, then Politzai Funk's successor in the tournament scene, and this is your first big in. You've got to do a predictions competition. Go. And then post it on the internet. And quite frankly, I'm a bit let down by the amount of activity on forums right now. I want to see more posts. I want to see more polls. I don't want it just being, like, to be quite frank, me posting things and getting people interested. Because I know you guys love it on Twitch. You love Twitch comments, but there's nothing on the hardcore old-fashioned internet right now. It's all the new modern internet, like the Twitch, the live feeds, that kind of thing. The older Kotu.orgs, the Reddits, the Twitters, and the dying medias of the world. I'm joking. They need more forum activity. So if you guys can, we've got 2 weeks to go. Go and host prediction competitions. Go and talk about the event. Generate self-hype if you can. It's not going to be organic anymore, but it still might be something. Anyway, guys, last thing to wrap up our predictions thing very quickly. I just want your overall predictions, and I want you to really think about this now, and I want you to make something. I just want to hear a story, and I want to hear some kind of progression. How's GCS2 going to go? Who's going to win the damn thing?
Are we starting off with me?
We can do.
All right. I think we're going to have one of these interesting tournaments. Dare I say it may be GCS 1.2 rather than 2, because I do think it might end up with a Devon Love Nest finals. Should that happen as well, it probably means that we would have a Devon Love Nest semi-finals in the upper bracket, and then also a finals, which would be quite cool, I think. But yeah, I mean, if you think about that as well, as a potential, it could be upper brackets and then finals, and then if the winner of the upper brackets finals wins, then it could be second elimination. So we could have like not best of 9, do you know what I mean, between those two players if it happens.
And the rest of the players are just like there for show, are they? Like
suddenly just turns into this Devon Love Nest thing. But I actually think that those two players are doing very well. If not, I think Vaughn Ivan will be in.
Okay, I want to bring Stone Tiger Gaddafi in because I know he'll have a contrary opinion to that. Tell us your story.
Of course, I'm not gonna object to somebody who says that Vaughn Ivan is gonna win the damn thing. Like, what are you crazy, eh?
You're not gonna say that? Surely this is his time, Vaughn Ivan's. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
well, that's why I'm bringing you in. That's the whole point of the segue. Thank you for pointing that out. You could have just gone, well, of course, I think Vaughn Ivan's going to be a great show this year. He's a real good sport. Where is your professionalism, Gaddafi? You're fired.
Hold on. I'm not a professional at this. You know that. Anyways, all right. You wanted a story? I'll tell you a story. So this is what's going to happen. Grand finals: Devon versus Vaughn Ivan. What are we doing there? Best of 7? Best of 9? What is it?
No, it's all best of 3, but it's double elimination. So if, like, the upper bracket guy loses, they have to play another time because he needs to lose twice, right?
Okay, but what happens if the other guy wins?
if the upper bracket guy wins, he's not. Somebody else has been knocked out twice. So this is a really good moment because Sturmtide Gaddafi is clearly a KO2 fan. He's not like an esports fan in general, which is fine. Double elimination means everybody has 2 lives. So all these matches in front of you here are best of 3. You have to knock the other players out twice. Not you personally. Somebody else can do it the first time, but you got to finish them off the second time. So if you've dropped down to the lower bracket and you've lost a match, when you resurface in that grand final, or in this rubber final here, and you've got to go up against the guy that hasn't lost a single time. Not only got to beat him once, you got to beat him again for consolidation. Sometimes it's called a consolidation final. Sometimes it's called a continuation final, the extended final. There's another name for it, I believe, but in this case, we're just calling it the grand final. And if the upper guy loses once, another best of 3, you got to beat him again because it's double elimination, baby. And that's how it works. So glad you didn't know that.
It's going to be game 3 of the grand final, or whatever you want to call it. It's going to be 10-10 on victory points, and One Ivan is going to whip out his goddamn Goliath, and he's going to blow up Devon, and he's going to bring justice to the universe.
I love how, in a positive way, how childlike you sounded there. It's like, he's going to get his Goliath, it's going to be really cool, he's going to blow Devon up. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, man, I love those things, man. I love those things. God damn, it's going to be great.
Imkai, you're very well-studied man. You're a very calm and collected man. You're the complete opposite of Sturmtide Gaddafi, and I want your opinion next.
I think when Loveness goes against Ivan, I think Loveness is going to lose, go down to the bottom. But he'll get fired up, and he'll come all the way in the lower bracket, get to grand finals, and win 6 games in a row against Devon.
Well, it'd be 4 in a row, wouldn't it? 2 best of 3s, but I get your opinion.
Oh, you're doing best of 3.
Unless Devon's computer inexplicably crashed in one of those games each, which is possible. He can crash other people's computers, seemingly. But everything's best of 3 because, of course, there's the contingency, isn't there?
Of course, yes.
Well, not timing, it just makes sense, right?
He'll win 4 games in a row. I think that's what happened.
There we go, and you've heard it here first. Some excellent predictions. I'm obviously eager to see what you guys think in chat. Please post some prediction threads and stuff and get the ball rolling. Get tweeting, get shouting out, because we've only got 13 days until at roughly 12:30 in the afternoon, starting off early. You're going to be greeted by my giant head saying some, and then we're going to go to Storm. It's going to be, God, I have to deal with this guy. Hi, and we're going to start casting, and then we're going to start with the first match. It's going to be awesome. You're going to love it. And it's going to be 2 days of live entertainment. Double elimination brackets is probably, hopefully, touch wood, going to be the greatest tournament in our community's existence. And then you'll be able to turn into a pile of ash, and you'll never see from me again. It'll be awesome. So yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Stormus and I will be coming at you live. Ipkai and Sturmtide Gaddafi will be there live in attendance. These 8 amazing players are all going to be there too. Jessalyn, Helping Hands, Vaughn Ivan, Devon, Loveness, Von Osten, Talisman, Referrer. Only one of these 8 gentlemen will walk away with $1,800 cash, a fantastic graphics card, and a trophy to keep for life. Memories that will live on longer than that. And just in general, this will be a crowning achievement, and they will be the grand champion of Company of Heroes 2. So goodbye from us for now.
Well, guys, bye.
Farewell. And we're going to leave you with the trailer I made. Dan wanted me to point out that he didn't make it, I did, but still pretty damn good. Bit more just crazy blah rather than nuanced trailer, orchestra. Thank you for. I'll give you the $5 later for that. So let's get on with it, and see you later, guys. Thank you. Like maybe get a cup of coffee or whatever, and sit back and enjoy this one. It's going to be a hell of a ride.
Look at that for an entrance of the Panzer IV.
Oh, that is awful look. And oh my god, he might lose the Vet 3 T70. Was that Panther Command tank? Oh my god, this thing! Lee Harvey Oswald, eat your heart out. Jesus Christ, where were you the day the Vet 3 T70 died? And the Katusha! It's on the warpath! Killtrocity! This Panther Command tank is taking Armstrong out of GCS2.
say about this book. Oh! How's the center down?
There you go. This guy's a legend. Oh, the back 40's back online. He can finish it off right now. This will be hilarious. There you go. Butchered by the AC and its ability. The Comet is manhandling it right now. Panther, what Panther? Take your Panther back to the Krupp factory because this one's done.
Yeah, that was the AEC ability we were talking about. The turret lock is so insane. That Panther had no effectiveness at all. Well played by CS.
He's behind the bush. He's waiting for an ambush.
Oh my word! Infiltration grenades.
Infiltration. Eat your heart out. That's exactly what that was. Biding his time until he can rebound once more. Oh my god, what a horrific shot by the KB1. He was biding his time, but KB1 said time over, and your grand is now deceased. Those kills were about to climb. This gun kills everything before it can even get there. Ostrupen become dead Rupen. Ah, look, there's a new roll and there's a Goliath. There you go. And that game is over. They do recrew the system, but that was their ultimate objective. The man flies across the screen into those trees. Incredible. That was a long jump record. Another P-tab. This one could be a good one. Here it comes. Big salvo from the skies. Does not dodge! Took out the command Panther as the man is launched into the air because he's no longer in command.